So yeah, we're going to talk largely technical, just a little bit of scene setting though, and a little bit of explanation about what Akixi is, what NAVA is, who we are, and what this product can do for you. So not many slides to go over, just got a few things here to present first, and then we can get into it. So obviously the main concept of what we do is CRM integration, as Jamie mentioned. So Akixi acquired Mondago. Mondago's really got a sort of 15, 20 years, I think, almost of CRM integration development, evolution, etc. And under Akixi, we've just got an even bigger software development team and support team to be able to hopefully drive the product forward even further going forward. What we offer today, though, is CRM integration for NetSapiens platforms delivered through RingLogix in this case. So the intention is with CRM integration, you can hopefully offer a wider portfolio to customers, make it a little bit stickier. So as a telephony platform, you've got more solution deployed, more integration features, more things that a customer can hopefully become dependent on and take advantage of, but at the same time, make them a little bit more dependent on you, shall we say. So yeah, obviously we're trying to offer something that can offer you a bigger share of the wallet with a customer, differentiate you potentially as well from other people going in with telephony solutions with something that provides you with some value-added services. So we do have sort of some key CRM integration verticals that we work with, but we do work with quite a wide variety of different sectors. And what we'll look at as part of this is just the CRM viewer tool, we call it. So this is the catalog or library of CRM integrations that we work with. So this is just like a sample of where we know we're quite strong, but there's a bigger, wider marketplace as well available. There's a little bit here just about selling and positioning CRM integration. So we won't spend too long on that today necessarily, but yeah, that's the solution, really what it offers. I'm going to switch to the CRM viewer in a second for this anyway, but we do have well over 250. I think we're near 300 plus different CRM integrations that we offer. But there's a little bit more in the NAVA product than just that. So that's the core of the product. That's the reason we exist really as a solution. But we do have some additional value in there as well. So there's two things really that stand out largely. There's some Microsoft Teams integration features there, which is just a way of linking the NetSapiens platform in with Microsoft Teams with some visual aids as well to try and make them more of sort of a blended, bonded platform rather than two separate pieces. That'll be in alignment with I think you're using Teammate, Jamie, if I remember rightly. So
yeah, we
you
are
offer the
using Teammate
solution. So you already got a way of linking Team into NetSapiens for voice, but this is a way of linking Teams into NetSapiens for the sort of presence and visibility. So I'll try and demonstrate a little bit of that, maybe talk about the technical side of that as well if needs be. And then also NAVA does have an option for presenting a soft phone interface, so being able to use the NAVA client as the audio in the call if you wish. So if you've already got the client being used to link to the CRM, you're going to see in a second on a demonstration, it sort of has some control over the telephone platform anyway, even if you're using desk devices or WebRTC devices, but you've got the option potentially of soft phone as well as a few other tools. But CRM's really the main thing that we're there for. So there's a range of features. I won't dwell on this slide for long. I'll demonstrate some of this anyway as we go through it and just show you a little bit of the configuration, say concentrate on the technical side, some of the way that this is configured, how it goes together, and a little bit of the sort of self-help if you have problems, where to look, what sort of things, what sort of tips we can give you to help with managing it. A little bit about the architecture, just so you can understand what's going on. There is a detailed technical document that we share with RingLogix, which is all of the web resources that the NAVA client's trying to connect to, communication ports. That level of technical detail is documented. So we share that with RingLogix through a partner portal that they have access to. And then, Jamie, as you know, you can publish those to your knowledge base. So if you need it, there is a more detailed technical document with all these locations. But in terms of the architecture, what NAVA's trying to do is connecting to the RingLogix NetSapiens platform. It's using a combination of communication protocols to do that. So we're connecting to the API, the Snap API, and there's also a SIP connection made. So there's a couple of different connections, different ports used to communicate to the platform there. So that's going to be the first thing that, let's say an end customer with a lot of firewall filtering is going to need to allow through. But it's also worth bearing in mind or being aware that we host some cloud services that allow NAVA to be deployed the way it is, to be configured the way it is. So we run two services. One's the discovery service, and this is just when the client starts up and is first set up, first configured, it makes contact with our cloud service, which delivers core settings to it. So really, it's a common piece of software that you're installing that via an access code gets programmed up to point at RingLogix's platform, and also to pull in, oops, sorry, didn't mean to scroll there, pull in some other settings as well. So for example, hasn't happened yet, but if RingLogix decided they wanted to brand up the NAVA client with some custom branding, then we can deploy that through that discovery service. You don't need to touch the desktop clients. Anything that you've got deployed will just automatically inherit those kind of core settings. So that's what the discovery service is all about, really. Behind that, there's a license check. So the user that's signing into NAVA needs a user license that's assigned on RingLogix's platform, but we have a cloud service that goes between the client and the license base to just run a check. And again, it only needs that on sort of startup and login, and it's designed to cater for those services being temporarily out of order if they were blocked for some reason, or if for whatever reason they were not running on our side. Just to give you some reassurance, I mean, these are on Azure hosted services. They're running, as far as we're concerned from stats, 99.9% of the time. Any outage is minimal, and the client is certainly not dependent on them for day-to-day operation. It's really just the setup and the initial login where they're checked. Okay, so this hopefully gives you a better understanding of how the client's actually doing what it's doing, how it's communicating. From a user perspective, all they see is log into the client, and it's working with the phone system and potentially linking into CRMs and Teams for the functionality that it's got. But how it's doing it is obviously some various things going on in the background. The CRM migration piece is really what we're there for. There's, as we said, over 250, maybe 300 CRMs now on the list. They're connected to by a variety of means. The majority of the kind of core ones that you'll probably come across day in, day out, Salesforce, HubSpot, Dynamics, those tend to be a cloud-based API. So there is going to be some desktop to API connection. Probably not much different, to be honest, to a user signing in through a browser interface, but obviously that varies depending on the CRM. And then I mentioned the Teams integration. There's a dotted line really between the desktop client and Microsoft Teams, which is largely done via the Graph API interface to Microsoft Teams. So in terms of like technical architecture, how it goes together, what end customers maybe need to allow out of their network, there's no really inbound connections. It's all outbound sessions, outbound initiated sessions. This is how it goes together. And we mentioned license types. There's really just 3 license types to consider. Unite is typically what we're talking about. This is where the CRM integration options really come in. But there is lower level licenses where you still have some of the useful tools like click to dial functionality, the presence visibility, and as Team license suggests, Teams integration features. Plus in Team, there's also some bespoke options. I'll just go on to the next slide, which I won't dwell on, but this is the sort of reference that we give you for the different license levels, the different functionality that's in NAVA. You can see it's quite a big list here. And you can see some of the functionality. Team adds a thing called custom events. And with custom events, you can do some sort of quite specialized bespoke operations if you wish. It's, a kind of do-it-yourself popping type functionality and a few other things as well. So it's just a little extra value option that some people would take advantage of. But the majority of what we do is very much established CRM integrations, fully supported, properly integrated, and through that Unite license. So I'm just going to skip over.
And if you don't mind, Alan, if I butt in, just so you guys know too, I don't mind sharing your pricing with you on this call. So what happens is, you guys can, as partners, go out and speak to, Alan's sales team and be a partner, right? But then you're responsible for a minimum commitment with them. So RingLogix partnered with them so that we can offer you guys the opportunity to use this whenever you need to. So you don't have to bear a burden of minimum commitments or anything like that. We do that for you. So solo licenses, and it's actually really inexpensive, and you can make good margin off of this product. Like a solo license for you guys is like 70 cents, okay, per user. That's your cost. A team license is $1.54 per license per user. And then the Unite one, which is the more popular one, that gives you that most of the popular CRMs in the catalog would be, that's like I said earlier, $3.99 a user seat. And it is for us, like you can have one user, you could have 100 users. We don't have like a minimum requirement for you. So if you just have a small business that wants to, log calls through HubSpot or Zoho or whatever they're using, you guys can accommodate that. So just wanted to toss that in there really quickly while we were at the licensing portion.
Thanks, Jamie.
No
So yeah,
problem,
just
Sam.
a mention of the catalog, what's available with the integrations that we talked about. So this is the CRM viewer tool. This is really your tool to search for integrations. When you've got a customer opportunity, you start here and see if we can link already to the CRM that they've got. So you can use this as a search. That's normally how it's intended. Stick in the package, hit go, see what results we get. But if we just click into advanced search, you are effectively getting the list. If people ask for a list, that's what this page is really giving you. So you can filter it down. Initially, it's just giving you every integration for every platform. If I was to just go, let's just look at Windows only, filter it down a little bit. And then I'm going to go with standard. I'll explain this a little bit more in a second when we get into the client itself and the technical setup. But standard integrations, just in summary, they are built into the client. There's step-by-step guidance available. You don't necessarily need our help to get this installed. Everything is documented and clear and explained. And then when we click into one of the integrations, so if you find the integration that you're interested in and you click into the full details page, I'll go with HubSpot just as a good example. Anyway, we go into full details and you'll get a breakdown here of the functionality you can expect. So again, I'll try and give you a demonstration of some of the core features here and a bit of how they're configured as well. You get some advisory notes as well in some places. So you might see some extra information you need to be aware of before this is deployed. And then in about 30 different places, I think there's 30 or 40 now on the list, there's a video which is intended as an end user demonstration. So you can use this viewer tool potentially to actually demonstrate to a customer prospect what the CRM integration should look like, how it should behave. And they're very much sort of generic videos, brand free. There's no mention of Akixi, RingLogix, NAVA even. There's no mention of products. It's just the CRM integration piece, really showing how it works with their CRM. So the video is, capturing their specific CRM. So you should hopefully find this a useful tool, not just for sort of qualifying opportunities, but also presenting opportunities and also understanding the requirements and the feature set with each integration. So that's really what the CRM viewer tool is about.
And guys, you can find this in the knowledge base, okay? So Alan's showing you this through the link. You also have access to it through support.ringlogix.com. When you click on the knowledge base and you go into the hosted PBX set of articles, in the subset, we have a specific subset for NAVA. So it's actually number 6 in the list of, NAVA articles. So you have direct access to this as well. Besides you could go to this Go Integrator page, but you have the link directly in your RingLogix support knowledge base that you can use. Some of the articles need updating. Alan gave me some updates to do that I never did yet. So I'm going to commit to doing those this month at some time, just some like version updates and things like that. But the catalog is still legit. So, you can always search the applications right directly in here, just to tie it back to you guys. Thanks, Alan.
Thanks,
sorry.
So that's right. So the other note, and what I wanted to draw attention to here is the way that we get to sort of 300 odd integrations. You can see the standard list. Just looking at Windows again, there's about 129, 130-ish with the latest software in there. But then the way we get to that expanded list is the controlled integrations. So controlled integrations, they're categorized that way for various reasons, but generally it's something like the integration was a fairly bespoke requirement some time ago. It might not have been repeated very often. More often than not, it is because the CRM vendor themselves don't have any sort of established partnership scheme. We can't necessarily get full test accounts. We can't thoroughly keep on top of any updates that they apply to their platform. But ultimately, what it does mean is that we need to be involved in this installation. So there is a cost associated with that as well, which Jamie can pass on. So this is remote engineering time for one of our engineers to help deliver the integration. Typically, we set up the first 2, show you how it's done, document it as well, provide what we call an unlock code, which reveals that integration in the client anyway. It's not there by default until the unlock code's entered. But it does mean that you've got a wider portfolio of integrations that you can deliver and offer to customers. It's just that there's a bit more involved in these integrations. So our hope is that most of what you're coming across is on that standard list. But if you do get one on this list, we need to be involved in it. That's the main point there with that little extra cost.
Yeah, and if you guys are searching the catalog and you run into a controlled, reach out to me. We'll kind of explain the process because it is slightly different. Today's process, you find an integration and it's standard and you want to get this set up, right? You're going to submit a ticket to our support team. You're going to tell them what domain. You're going to tell them which users need it. Is it Windows or Mac? And our team's going to provide you the code, and then you'll follow the steps that Alan's going to show you ultimately. Now, a controlled one's a little bit different because, like Alan said, there is a one-time fee that's associated with controlled. Then we have to actually get with the Akixi support team and set up a time that they can be with you and your customer. I think they do one or two of them right with them, Alan, and then they're on their own.
First two usually document it, make sure everything's working correctly, and then hand over so you can deploy the rest on the same site.
Yeah. So if you run into controlled and you forget everything I just say, just remember controlled requires a little more information and a little more time. So just, keep that. If you forget everything else, just remember, reach out to me if you find out that you have an application that's a controlled one so we can get you the details and get you ahead of the game with the process. Standard ones are super easy. You just submit the ticket and you're on your way. So.
Okay, so hopefully you see my desktop now, and I'm just sort of preparing for the technical setup. So what I started off here with an already sort of installed and configured and connected client. We've got two options here. I mean, I'll sort of take your lead from feedback. I kind of just show you some of the core features so you can see how they work, and then I'll kind of peel it back and just go back to installation, or I can start from the ground up. There's just a chance that I might not be able to get everything set up to demonstrate it. So I'm just wondering what's of more value to you, to see things working first or to just start from scratch and see how far we get?
Well, I think we could describe it and everyone on this call would be hip enough. So once again, I said what Alan's going to show you guys, right, is an already installed one. There's two components that would be done prior to you being able to see what Alan's showing you. So our team is going to provide you a link. The link is to download the software on the desktop. So once you download the software, right, using the link, and you can see where Alan's little integrator on his desktop is right there. That's what it looks like after you download the software. Then you would open that and we provide you with a key that you enter. So like a username and a key. And once you enter that, now it would be, right, pretty much, Alan, where you'd be showing it.
Yeah, so what I'll do, I'll just go back to the point of, after installation, it's fairly straightforward. So after installation, just the basic software installer is going to install this setup access code. So the installation is very basic. We do support standard Windows installer commands for an executable file. So, installing quiet mode is possible. I was just thinking I'll put some of the commands in the chat because this is documented. But again, James, I'm not sure how much of this is on your knowledge base already. So if I just put something like this in chat, for example, this is just like the quiet installation example of installing this without user prompts. The important thing to understand at the moment, though, is it does need full admin rights at this stage. So installing the client needs full admin rights. We should be compatible with Microsoft Intune. So that's how typically people are mass deploying this, where you've got a bigger customer site that wants to roll out and automate the installation. So Microsoft Intune would typically be the tool for that job, or anything that's equivalent. But the important thing is to understand this is a compiled multiple MSI installer. Okay. Yeah, we work with NetSuite. No problem. It's on the list. So when you look at the CRM viewer list, you'll see NetSuite in there. But yeah, so the installation itself, it's executable, compilation of multiple MSIs within that executable. And as I say, you can use that quiet mode installer if you wish. We then enter the access code. So for RingLogix, there's an access code nringl, and that will pull in the settings to direct the integrated client at the RingLogix platform. If you're on Mac, it's nringl-mac. And then you've also got, certainly for the Windows client, there is an equivalent for Mac if anyone needs it, we can share. Yes, ConnectWise, yep, that's there as well. I'll put the link in the viewer if you want. And
yeah, actually, go ahead. You keep on, Alan. I'll go put the link in the viewer.
Okay.
Yeah,
Cool,
Abid,
cool.
I will put the link in the viewer. I don't know if you were on a call or something when it's in the knowledge base, but I'll add it to the chat for you. So that way you can kind of look them up, the ones that you want to know. There you go.
Okay, so yeah, in terms of access code, if you wanted to launch the client with access code in the background, so again, this is the sort of deep technical stuff we don't sort of publish. This is shared with partners in the partner hub that we give them. So what you've got, I've just put in the chat is the sort of launch command. So rather than it being manually entered like you're seeing me do on screen here, you could install via Microsoft Intune. You can launch the client via shortcut or command line to get the access code populated. It only needs to be entered once, just the first time after installation, and then the users are presented with a login page like so. So login credentials, typically it's their let's say the username or login name specifically. So I'm not sure if this is a common thing, Jamie, for you guys, but if you create NetSapiens users, normally it's like extension at domain.
Yeah, it's extension at domain. Yep, that's
exactly. If you did have login names changed to email addresses, then it's the same. You're using whatever the login name field is for the NetSapiens platform.
So, and so guys, this is the same login that your customers use for Snap Mobile, for UC Plus, for the web phone, right? So it's the same thing that you use every day when you have your customers log in. So yeah, it's your NetSapiens username and password.
Okay, so from this point, users can choose to auto log in, so credentials don't need to be entered every time. Normally, they'll be presented with this login page, and they just click login. Credentials are only removed if they actually choose to log out. So that's what I did a minute ago. I already had a logged in client. I logged out, and then I'm presented with this page again. So those credentials are remembered on restart. They're only removed if you log out of the client. So we can auto log in, no prompt at all. It'll just go in straight away once you open the package. And you can also have it start with Windows. I think that is by default what it starts with, or you can just use the desktop shortcut, go integrate to NAVA, wherever you've got that located. So log into the client. Under advanced options, all you're going to have there is change access code. So no need to do that once it's first installed. And then you might have this, depending on the customer's environment, whether it needs to go through a web proxy or not, that will depend on the customer environment. And this ignore invalid certificates, really, it's only if, for whatever reason, RingLogix didn't keep their certificates up to date on the platform, and then you get a complaint. So my test environment, for example, doesn't have a valid certificate, so I'm getting a error. All that's basically saying is we can't encrypt the connection and secure it between the client and the platform. So thankfully, most of our partners, RingLogix included, keep their certificates up to date. So that's what that box is for there, just in that occasional situation where you've got that environment. So login's fairly simple. Most of the time, the users just enter their credentials, no complication. And then in default state, the client goes into the system tray. You might see it jump into the sort of, I don't know if you call this the idle area or not, but you might see it hidden in here. If you want to, you can drag it to keep it in view or just keep it in that area. But we launch or configure the client with a right click in Windows or a left click if it's the Mac client to get into the tray menu is here. So we call this the tray menu. In the Windows environment, users can switch the mode. So the default, the starting point is tray menu mode. Users can, if they prefer, turn it into what we call app bar mode. And that just means that it stays on screen. It's more present. Sits on the desktop. In fact, I can see that my screen sharing doesn't include it.
No, I can see it. We
can
see it.
Okay, I've got a green line
over there on the left.
Not included. Okay, good. You can see it. So yeah, that's the sort of user preference in Windows. If they wish, they can locate it on the desktop and keep it more in view. And then basically anything that I show you typically is launched from the toolbar as a pop-out window rather than a separate window. I'm just going to keep it in this tray menu mode just for the sort of default, a common setup, but that's a Windows user option that we've got there.
Yeah, that's cool. Everyone's moving over to the left anyways. It seems like so okay. Good that you guys are staying hip with it.
So there's an important thing to be aware of, which this may change. So Jamie, I've not really had this conversation with your technical team for a while, but software updates, just want to explain software updates. So we generally publish a software installer. So you can see here, I've got version 4.10, which is not actually been released properly yet. It's just about to be released. Typically, we're building a new version 3 or 4 times a year. Just depends on if we find many bugs, if we have new features to add. That will generally dictate those software builds. But the majority of our historical software builds were to add CRM integrations to the product. We've changed the architecture, so we no longer do that. The CRM integrations are now added dynamically, and you'll see if you're on this list here, the little jigsaw piece next to it. So we no longer need to add them into the client and give you an installer. We can just add them to another cloud service that we're running, which gives you access to the new CRM library. And it will also offer updates as well. So some of these will be updates to existing integrations. Some of them will be completely new integrations that we've added. So we now do it via this download mechanism. And the nice thing about this is the user doesn't need full admin rights. So if you've got users, already got a client installed, and they want to update or add a new integration, they don't need to go to the administrator. They can just apply it themselves. So if I just choose, I think ConnectWise, actually, you mentioned it. I'll just find ConnectWise. Look. So in ConnectWise, if I choose that integration, you can see I'm being offered an updated version.
Oh, that's cool.
And it's literally just user clicks update. They get the option to download it, and it will do a fairly quick download, install, restart to apply it. Okay, so it's fairly quick and easy to apply new integrations. We don't need a full client. But as I say, we still release for various reasons. So when we do get a new release, the manual process is you just get the new installation file, and the user just installs the new client over the top of the existing one. It'll close down the current client, update, and overwrite with the new installer. But I'm not going to restart this because I just want to explain a couple of other things first. So when you look at your client version page, just want to show you this. So Jamie, this is something you might want to follow up with later. We have what we call a proactive update notification mechanism, which you can use, but this is in RingLogix's hands, and at the moment isn't enabled. So I wanted to make sure you're clear on this point, because this is a little bit misleading. The client will say your software is up to date if it doesn't have a mechanism to check. So At the moment, Jamie, there's no mechanism enabled for you to check. So all of your users will always say your software is up to date. If you enable that process, PUN for short, proactive update notification, then your clients will potentially see that updates are available. You can also notify users to say that new versions are available. You can also, if you want to be extreme about it, force users to update before they're allowed to log in if, for example, their version's very old, very out of date, and no longer supported. We normally support for up to 2 years on a release. So, for example, we've just released in 4.10. Our 4.3 or 4.4, I think it is just about to go end of support, for example. So the software still works. We don't turn anything off. We don't disable anything. It's just that if you had a problem, you escalated it. Our response is going to be, you're not supported anymore.
Update your software.
Yeah. So it's just to sort of want to explain that a bit, because it can be misleading. It's been a bit misinterpreted in the past. I keep pushing the product team to change it so it says something different. But at the moment, that's how the mechanism works.
Gotcha. No, good.
Okay. So in terms of, let's sort of imagine we've configured the client, we've maybe chosen the CRM integration, we've downloaded that integration. Let me show you the difference then between standard and controlled. So a standard integration, when we choose it from this list, everything that you see in this list typically is either standard or new. So unfortunately, these ones are a little bit misleading because you don't know if it's standard or controlled until you select it. So this is why we start with the CRM viewer. CRM viewer first. Is that integration available with help or not? Do you need our support to do it? And then when we're looking in the client, if it's already ready to choose, these ones that have got an icon are already standard and ready to select and configure. The ones with the jigsaw piece, you won't know until you've downloaded it, unfortunately. This is just the way the mechanism works. Once we've got an integration that we've selected, though, we've got a page of configuration that will vary between each CRM integration. And then at the bottom of the page, we've got a few user options. So really that's about behavior. Does the CRM integration pop automatically? Does it have, if it's got the feature, does it create call activity log records into the CRM at the end of the call or by button press? We've also, in about 30 integrations, got an extra a feature called related data. So the user can choose to have these functions turned on or off. The top bit is really is about the setup, the technical connection and configuration of the CRM. So you're not expected to guess. There's a help button here. You really sort of imagine this is flashing red and giving you a big warning signals. This is where the actual setup is presented and explained. And you need to understand that these are deliberately token and time limited. So you can only open these pages normally from within the client. You can share that link with a CRM administrator, but they will only last typically 24 to 48 hours. So the idea is you share the link with a CRM administrator. They capture the bits that they need to be able to set up for the CRM integration. Hopefully they only need sort of 10, 15 minutes generally to do that work. It varies depending on the CRM. Salesforce setups, maybe 15 minutes of work to follow these steps. And then the integration's done and ready to go. If they need another link, if it expires, just open the help, send another link on. So it's a bit of intellectual property protection, you might say, but it's the way that the step-by-step guidance is shared. So that's standard integrations. They're in the client. You can do them yourself. You don't need help. Obviously, if you have any problems, you come and get help then. The controlled integrations, you won't get that step-by-step help, and they're generally hidden from view, and you need an unlock code, which is part of what we give you in that controlled integration process. Okay, so our engineers scheduled to carry out the integration work with you. It's generally about configuration. Once you've got the client installed, we'll give you the unlock code, set up the first two, make sure it works, document it, and let you sort of roll out the rest of them. Okay.
So did you guys see that? The instructions are embedded in the application, because everyone's always, I know we all like to play around. I'm guilty, right? I like to try to figure it out and break it and then get frustrated. I don't use instruction, but after you choose the integration, then when you hit the help button, the instructions are boom, right there. Honestly, I can tell you guys, with almost all of these that partners have done, this is the largest misstep. I didn't get any instructions, but they're right. They're right there.
So sorry, the button should be at the top. Should be flashing red. Yeah, we need to maybe make that more obvious. But that's now you've seen it. Hopefully, you'll recall that. So that's how we actually set up the integrations to operate. So a little bit of background secret stuff, not too secret, but just wanted to sort of give you some pointers. And a little bit of self-maintenance as well. So for example, let's say somebody's made a bit of a mistake. We've provided you with a CRM update, and for whatever reason, it doesn't work properly. Just to show you how to roll things back. And this also applies to the client itself. So I talked about updating the client. You run the new installer, it updates the client, closes down the current, updates the client. Everything should still be configured. But we don't have a sort of an automatic rollback mechanism. So there's two things here. One, what if you wanted to roll back the CRM integration itself? And two, what if you wanted to roll back the client to a previous version? So just giving you the tips on this. If you ever need to do it, and I'm hoping you never do, but it's the sort of thing that's worth having some insight into. So firstly, there's two areas of data that we create. So if I go and navigate into app data on the machine, there are Mac equivalents for this as well, by the way. So, if you need the Mac version of this, we can document that as well. So in terms of CRM integrations, we write the new CRM downloads into this same user roaming profile data. If you wanted to revert to an older version, so you've downloaded the 4.99 as we just saw there, and you want to revert back to the previous version for whatever reason, then all you need to do is go and find the integration that it's downloaded and delete it. Now, if I'd only downloaded one, there would just be one entry. You can see this sort of encryption codes here. But if you click into the folder, you'll see which integration it is. So that's Matchmaker there, look. If I click this one, there's another integration. So the name of the integration is visible. There's ConnectWise. And all you do is just delete that folder and restart the client. You'll revert back to the version that was provided built in, okay? So if you do need to roll back CRM integrations, roaming profile data, integrated CRMs, delete the folder. So that's relatively easy, fairly straightforward. Restart the client, you're back to the previous version. The whole client itself, though, if you did need to roll back, it's a little bit more complicated. Hopefully you'll never need to do it, but the process is you need to back up the integrator configuration data before you update. Here's the trick with it. Hopefully you'll never need to do it, But if you do want to prepare yourself for rolling back, you have to copy that integrator folder before you upgrade, rename it like I've done there for 4.7, and then use that to roll back. So I'm only sort of giving you a hint of it here. I'm hoping you never have to do it, but it's just making you a little bit aware that that's where the data is written to, and the updated version will not be sort of backwards compatible with an older client. So if you need to downgrade the client, you need to have a copy of that integrator configuration to go back to. Now, the worst case is you're just reconfiguring the client. It's only a sort of 5-10 minute job at the most, really, but it's just sort of something to be aware of. Downgrading is not sort of standard built-in part of the process. Very rarely need to do it, hopefully never, but just wanted to make you aware while we're sort of talking very, very deep technical here.
Very cool.
The other thing about this, if you wanted to sort of, shall we say, default a client for any reason, that is also the same thing as well. So you can see my client's configured. I've got an integration. I've maybe chosen some options. If you wanted to default a client, if somebody gets themselves into a bit of a mess with configuration, you can also just delete that folder and then restart the client, and it's basically going to come up as if it's out the box, fresh out the box. Okay, so that's just a bit about out data. If you uninstall, then that gets removed anyway. So uninstalling the client is defaulting it as well, removing that app data. But if you just want to clear it out, you don't need to uninstall and reinstall. You just delete that folder, and the client will come up as a default client. Okay, let's see what else we've got to cover. So a little bit about the sort of technical setup of the functionality. Do you jump in?
Yeah, Avid, I think there's a question for you, Alan. Avid, yeah, I think Alan did mention earlier you can definitely push a config file using Intune. I think he mentioned that a little bit earlier.
Installation,
right?
Installation, yes.
Installation, okay, not config.
Yeah, there's no method of pushing configuration, and there's a reason for that. The sort of data that if you think about the data that we're actually capturing in the client, it's largely about connecting to CRMs, and as a result of that mechanism, it has to be secured and encrypted. So that data that I just showed you, that app data content, is encrypted content. You can't push it out from a central location. It's encrypted at the user desktop. So it's part of the sort of trade-off between making CRM integration kind of a simple setup. That process has to be secured, so it's not, should we say, too freely available to connect to the CRM database with that configuration that we store. So unfortunately, it does make itself a little bit more complex to deploy in that sense. It's got to be configured at the user desktop. But so sadly not at this stage anyway. If we deliver a mechanism to do that in future, then we'll obviously let you know.
Better safer than sorry, especially if you're a compliance MSP or security, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Good.
Okay, so just checking my little hit list here. So I'm trying to show you some of the other tips as well, just in the time that we've got. Just a little bit about the client in terms of configuration, functionality, things that might not be immediately obvious. So when we look in the configuration pages, if we look at devices, this is just something I want to show you a little bit about. This might not always be a very clear part of the product. We've got a range of click to dial tools. So there's a range of click to dial functions in the dialing page here. Anything that we do with click to dial, the NAVA client is pushing that call request to a specific device. So if I look at my phone icon here, you can see a drop down list here, and this is what we call preferred devices. So you could have a range of different device endpoints on your NetSapiens platform. It might be, a physical desk phone. You might have a couple of desk phones, one in the office, one at home. You could have the web clients, Net Mobile Web. You could be using NAVA itself as a soft phone. And so when we click to dial with any of those dialing methods, we are choosing which device to dial with, so that you don't get, for example, like a ring back with everything ringing, and you sort of decide which device to make the call with by answering it. We just go, right, I've got a preferred device. I'm sitting next to this phone here. Use that for the click to dial, or I'm on the road, use my soft phone, or maybe my preferred device to use is Teams. So when I'm on a Teams call, I'm shown as busy. So you've got a choice how you click to dial. I'm going to stick with the desk phone here. And then our dialing methods, whatever we use to dial with. So maybe I'm in my Salesforce contact list. I'm using one of the web browser dialing tools here. Look, whenever I click to dial, I'm going via that chosen device. So when I click, you'll see the call's going out, and you can see that little label there. It's the desk phone that's been used to make that call.
It's pretty cool too, because I have it on mine. So it's almost like kind of shocking because like you hit that button and then your phone starts ringing, right? Because that's like how you connect it. And then you pick like so it's like you're getting an inbound call, but you're really making an outbound call. It's kind of neat.
So the thing I want to just show you is that it's not labeled. It's in the help, but it's not obviously labeled. You can rename those devices. So we'll come up with a name that's really being pulled from the telephone platform. So for example, my desk phone statement there probably started off with the physical device name, Yealink or whatever. So it's not immediately obvious, but you can rename any of these devices so that what's presented in the view makes sense. So, whatever you want to call it, whatever makes sense, you can rename it there, save it, and then that preferred devices list should show the new name. So it's a little bit that's not immediately obvious, but in conjunction with showing you the labeling, I was just trying to sort of explain how the mechanism works. Click to dial is going to point the call at that preferred device, so the user's only dealing with one device at a time. Now, it does have an impact on incoming calls, but not ringing. Ringing is not affected. Whatever devices you've got set to ring via your answering rules are still going to ring, but it can affect answering. So, for example, if I'm taking calls or making calls with the soft phone device, then an inbound call, if I throw an inbound call now, then it's going to present me with an answer button because I can connect it on the soft phone device. Okay, so I get an answer button. Once I'm connected, I'll get some call control buttons, which are, again, dependent on the device that I'm connected to. So this is something that users can get a little bit confused with, especially if they're using Teams as well. With the Teams preferred device, that just means whenever we do a click to dial, we're trying to make that call out of our teammate connected Teams user. So again, I go back to here, I click to make the call. All that happens is that number gets passed to my Teams client. So for example, I need to pull it into screen. Oh, sorry. I'm going to do that again. So I'm passing it to my Teams client to make the call. And so you just see this in your Teams client. Look, click to make the call, and away you go. Now, if I'm selecting Teams for outbound, we can't answer inbound Teams calls. So all you're going to see different, and this is, quite a common thing that gets requested or, gets raised as an issue, is where are my buttons? I've got no answer button. Okay, so typically it's because the user select a device that we can't answer. Okay. Once it's connected, so if I took that call on my Teams user, then yeah, I'd be able to control the call potentially depending on the device. But it's just something to be aware of. Those sort of things combined, click to dial, preferred device, call control, they all have a sort of relationship that's not immediately obvious, and if you've got an understanding of it, then hopefully you can support your customers better when they've got that functionality enabled. Now, the team setup itself can be a little bit complicated. In simple terms, it should be as easy as just enabling these tick boxes here, look, to enable the Teams functions. If there's a little bit more if you go into the user help. So you can search this help, by the way. I don't know if you've used this yet, but you can search this help for specific things like Teams integration features, for example. But any link that you click on here, it's going to open the online help pages, and then you can still navigate to a different page from here. So when it comes to Teams integration features, they are relatively set up, but they do require approval or permissions being granted by the Teams administrator. We do explain in this page what the Teams functionality is, so what the features look like, how they operate. We then go on to explain in that configuration, the devices page, the page where you enable those functions. So this page, look, devices, Teams features. We explain those in the help. And we also, at this point, give you a direct link for the Teams administrator to grant permissions. So this is what we'd call a deep link. It basically takes the Teams global administrator directly to an approval page to allow these Teams features to work. And hopefully, that's as complicated as it should get.
And guys, if you've ever done anything with Teams, this is always what happens. This is not just a NAVA thing. Yeah. And Carl, I know Carl and I have done Teammate together. You always need the global administrator. You always need permission. So this is not something that's, Akixi or NAVA only. It's always with Teams.
So we try to make it as easy as we can to enable this functionality. If you do need more, we do have a technical guide that explains what's going on in the background. So typically, Teams administrators, they tend to be quite protective of things like this. They want to know what they're granting permissions to in depth. So we do have a document that explains that as well, which again, Jamie should be able to share if people need that. Okay, so yeah, going quite deep technical on some of these, but hopefully this is useful stuff for you.
Oh, it's good stuff. And we're recording it. So if you forget it, it'll be recorded and on YouTube.
Cool.
So
okay, so last thing I wanted to cover then is a little bit of, if you have problems, what can you do for yourself? What do we need to get captured from you to help you if you need our help as well? So in terms of self-help, I mean, really, we've sort of covered bits of it already. You can manipulate that app data. You can try, defaulting the client in some cases. It may be we just need to revisit the help for the CRM integration if there's a problem there. It may be that you need to update the CRM integration, so look out for that update button. Those sorts of things you can look after for yourself. If we need more, then it's going to be capturing any problems that you're having. Ideally, what we're looking for is something visual. So if you can video capture any problems, that's perfect. If not, get some screenshots. Try and capture, a sequence of events. Important things for us as well, though, is make sure that you've got this page captured. So the log page, that top line information is actually quite useful for us, particularly these areas here. Look, so what we're seeing on the devices is on hook is saying we are connected successfully to the NetSapiens platform. So we've got signaling, we've got event stream, and we're communicating with it correctly. If we saw a different state there, maybe not ready or something like that, that would be an indication that we've lost connection to the platform. Likewise, the SIP connection. So again, the built-in soft phone, the busy lamp field in presence, that's using the SIP connection. So again, we're looking for problems there or what status that's showing us. And now we've enabled Teams, we've also got a status for the Teams functionality. So that page itself, just capturing that page is helpful. And just sort of understanding which users we're looking at and what sort of configuration they've got. There's a little bit of help in there. But the deeper stuff is in the log files. So we default to info level logging. You may want to boost this up to trace level logging to capture anything that's going wrong. We will normally guide you anyway, but this might just save you a little bit of time if we get the sort of detailed logs to begin with. Now, this log information you could find, we click the show button here, it will take you into the log folder location. And the logs are typically sort of created daily or periodically, depending on the size. Every time the client restarts as well, it will start a new log file. So what we're normally looking at is you can happily delete everything that's already there apart from the ones it's already writing to. So I'll just skip everything that it's currently using. So that's the latest log file with all the current events. If we enable the deeper level logging, so I'll just go ahead and enable trace logging. We'll get a bit more information collected. So we're starting to get more information on the other connections we're making. Look, so this might start to relate to what sort of issues you might be having. So is it a Teams integration feature? Well, we definitely need the extra logging for that. Is it a soft phone connection problem? We'll get the extra logging for that. The one that you'll normally get asked for, but it's worth being aware of now, and I'll put the command in the chat, is if we want CRM integration level logging. That's not available in that drop-down list. We launched the client with a different command to get that level of logging. So the command I'll put in the chat here, just so you've got it, we call it verbose mode. And I'll just run it as well so you can see it in action. This only operates once, so just when you launch the client with this command. So what I'm going to do on screen here is exit. And then I'm going to launch the client again with that command I've just put in the chat. So it's verbose mode that we're launching it in. So I'm just going to use the run command here to launch it again in verbose mode. And what we're going to see here is it's going to create some additional log data that's specifically about capturing CRM integration log data. So again, if everything else about the client's working fine and the only problem you've got is with the operation of the CRM and the integration that we're making, then this again is a useful bit of data to capture before you raise any issues with us. So it just saves you time. It saves that exchange of raising a problem and our help desk asking for this data, and then you have to go and sort of try and recreate it and capture it. So there's my client restarted. I'll go straight back into the log page, hit the show button again, and you should see that we've got some Salesforce information captured as well. Look. Okay, so that's what the verbose mode is doing. It's capturing more specific data about the CRM integration.
Yeah, and these are just some things. So you guys will, you don't submit tickets directly with NAVA. You would reach out to us. We log a ticket with NAVA support. And so this might be some of the things that, we might ask you for in the future. If you have issues. Hopefully you don't, but
hopefully you never have issues, yeah. Of course. So hopefully just giving you a bit of more awareness of how things go together, what you can access, what you can do to help you if you do get any problems. Okay, I mean, that's pretty much everything on my hit list. Is there anyone want to throw any questions in? Anything we can maybe look at together now? Or if you think of them later, we can answer them later.
Yeah, Abed, I think we answered that earlier, but we'll talk about it again. It's per user. Okay. So, and I gave your RingLogix prices a little bit earlier. So the most typical license that you'll use is Unite. And that license, your cost is $3.99 a user, and it is per user. There's no minimum or anything like that. So you could do it on one user, you can do it on 100, but it's $3.99 per user. The team user is a little less expensive. It's $1.54. The solo license is 70 cents, your cost.
Well, we'll answer this point, the other part of the question though, for Abed. So we give you 4 integrations concurrently. So whether it's solo, team, or Unite, doesn't matter. The only thing about solo and team is all you can integrate with is Google Contacts and Outlook Contacts, or if you're on the Mac client, you'll get the Apple Contacts as well. But you can have up to 4 integrations. So for example, I'll do Outlook as my second integration. There's an update available there, but it's going to basically link into my default mail profile. And then I could add, let's say, a Google integration, and that'll be my third integration. I'll just go and authorize that, which will only take a second. Link in there and give it access to contacts. Okay, and then I can have a 4th integration, which might be something like HubSpot. I'll just quickly stick in a token for that. And then that would be my quota used up. So one Unite license is going to give you 4 integrations. The 5th one, if I try, it should complain. So let's just pick a different Outlook and it should say, yep, you've reached the maximum. 4 should be plenty, right? Beyond that, we would struggle to support it. You'd start to get degraded performance anyway if you tried. So that's why we've limited it 4. Generally 2 to 3 is more than enough for most people. But yeah, you can have up to 4. Plus you're also getting the NetSapiens built-in address book. So actually you'll have 5 different sources of contact data, potentially. I'll just try and do a search look. So you get multiple matches. It's trying to search the built-in NetSapiens address book, didn't find a match, so that's hidden. I've got a match in Salesforce, I've got a match in Outlook, I've got a match in HubSpot, etc. Okay, so 1 license, up to 4 integrations, plus NetSapiens address book. Okay.
Abed, you must think this is pretty cool. Who else thinks this is cool? Anybody else? Because I don't know if you guys know. Oh, Abed, I never unmuted you. I have a couple people I didn't unmute. Guys, I don't know if you know, because I don't know how many of you read our newsletter every month. If you think this is cool, and if you want to try it, we're giving you free licenses to use for yourselves, up to 25 of them on your HQ account. So if you think it's cool, if you want to try it on yourself and do the installation process and everything Alan just told you, submit a ticket to support, give them your domain, tell them what users, and tell them you want a Unite license, right? You might as well get the most expensive one if you're doing it for free, right? And tell them it's part of the marketing promo, and we'll give it to you free, up to 25 users for your own accounts, so that you can get comfortable downloading, installing, using, and then, potentially selling and making money off of it. Does that sound good, or nobody's excited? There you are, Abed.
Yeah, I like it. Actually, I have a client that is looking for something like this for their phone system, but they have NetSuite. So I'm gonna talk them into it, and we also. But I would like to get the NFR for ourselves. We use ConnectWise, so that's why.
Yeah, do it. Get a ticket in. Put a ticket in with support. call it NAVA, like name that in the subject, NAVA licenses. Just tell our team how many you know, your domain, how many you want, like which users they're gonna live with. And then they'll give you the key and everything like that. And just make sure you reference, you know, you can say, Jamie said they're free, you know, whatever. They'll come ask me. They don't know what I'm talking about. But we are giving you guys 25 free licenses for yourselves to play around with, use, you know, so that you can get comfortable and potentially sell it.
Excellent.
Excellent.
Thank you.
DW,
well,
I know you guys like to tinker. I'm going to start picking on people, Alan. When they don't talk to me, I start picking on them.
Okay. No, hopefully that was a useful session for everyone. And obviously, if any questions occur or when you're playing around, then come back to Jamie, and then we'll be here to help if anyone needs help.
Yeah, no, and thank you so much, Alan. Guys, I don't know if you know by Alan's accent, but he's on the other side of the pond, so it's late his time. So we appreciate. He's not just, you know, here with an accent. He's actually over in the UK. So thank you. I know it's late your time. I appreciate your time.
No
All right, guys. If you have no further questions, forever hold your peace. Just kidding. If you have more questions, email me. If I can't answer them, I'll get them answered for you. But feel free to take advantage of the promo. Even if you don't read the marketing newsletter, we are giving you 25 free NAVA licenses so that you can go learn it. So cool. All right. I think everyone's good then. Appreciate you. Thanks, Alan.
Thanks, everybody. Have a good day.
Thanks,
Cheers.
everybody.
Bye now.
Thank you.